Thank you, Sanjay. Yeah, so until Sanjay puts up the, okay. Introduce myself. I'm Ramesh, working with Acuity from last 8 years. Before that, I worked with a startup called Diffuse Technologies, then Standard Chartered Bank, and then Thomson Reuters. Now it's called LSCG, London Stock Exchange. Okay. So what we do at Acuity is something I. Okay, a kind of a reliable partner for all the financial service companies. We just work with financial service companies. You name any S&P 500 financial service company, they will be in some form or other are our clients. We work with them to solve their analytical problem, their research problems, and their technology problems. So when we work with them, we kind of understand their problem areas, their kind of roadmaps, and accordingly we kind of shape up our strategy, how we kind of support them on a continuous basis. So this organization is around 22 years old. It has long history. We have been called with different names, but when we were sold off from Moody's Analytics, we rebranded as Acuity Knowledge Partners, and last 4.5 years we have been, kind of working with that brand. We are headquartered in London, and majority of our excom sits in London office, but we also have our chief human resource officers and chief delivery officers operate from India. So we have around 660 clients, and kind of this number keeps varying, around 6,000 to 7,000 employees working with us on different client projects and work. We have this beat, it's just adjacent to this building. It's an innovation lab. We kind of provide kind of a technology solutions to our clients using this innovation lab. And if you see, just be, kind of read through those. That's our 150 clients kind of using these services, and a lot of employees directly kind of get kind of benefits in terms of efficiency and things like that. We are having 4 divisions broadly. One is banking. Obviously, we all know what banking is. Asset managers, mostly the fund houses where we kind of invest our money. This is the second vertical. Then the private markets, the PE firms, venture capitalists, we support them. And obviously consulting and corporate like McKinsey kind of, big consulting firms, they continuously work with us. So you can see the numbers and things like that, how much clients we support. This is our technology. And, our COO, who kind of oversees the technology, is John. He's from ex-IBM. He used to be managing IBM Watson for many years until he chose to leave that organization and join here. So he leads the technology efforts. Arijit, he's ex-Pega. He kind of drives this innovation lab, the entire roadmap and strategy. And you can see a lot of products out there, platforms and products. So some of them caters to banking, some of them caters to private consulting, things like that. So the only difference between us and a pure technology company is we know what the clients wants, because our domain experts like the CAs, the CPAs, and the postgraduates who work with us as an employee, they understand financial service much better than a pure technology firm where a BA tries to help very limited way. So we understand their problem, and therefore our solutions caters to exact needs of the clients. And that's why, although we are not into SaaS, we just help them with efficiency gains and things like that, but the reliability and the confidence clients show on us is extremely high. So this is how we kind of drive technology. So on the middle, heart of everything, there is a technology solutions. And then the immediate need is kind of benefit our analysts to deliver more, kind of productivity, efficiency, completeness, making sure that, the client needs are met on time and things like that. Kind of build workflows for banking, the private equity and the asset managers, kind of a workflow which kind of helps them to tap a lot of automation, and then kind of create lightning apps for a smaller use cases, right? So you would have heard about copilots, you would have heard about small agents, kind of a chatbot. These are all what we call as lightning apps. So we create that on the fly and give it to users for their small needs, which can be helping them in their efficiencies. For the broader thing, we are working on agentic AI. Some of us, while, when the session was started, we were thinking about agentic AI, how it's going to impact. We are investing a lot of money and efforts on that. And I'll just take some of those ideas in the next slides. So ultimately, the aim is kind of get efficiencies and enable our analysts to drive kind of benefits to our clients. Rather than waiting for clients to provide those automation tools, we internally give them, and kind of we work with the client to increase their productivity and, kind of be a true partner with them. So this is our entire technology stack. I mean, like how we build it. Heart of everything, again, AI platform. So AI platform is where our data platforms, the agentic and any ML, AI and technology solutions are hosted. On top of that, we build a lot of products. Some of them building is a lot more easier because this is like a kind of a microservice strategy. So you deliver certain things, extraction as a service, then you plug in a lot of apps, kind of thing. So these apps are powered by platform. And then on top of that, we have something like which is a custom solution group, DTS, which kind of works with the client, built by the client. They go and customize our apps or their own apps, because these guys are the kind of techno-functional guys, so the probability of success is extremely high rather than a pure technology. So it's a big business for us, DTS, and they kind of drive custom solutioning for us. So this is, wanted to, kind of take few minutes and explain this. When we look at the entire spectrum of what financial service companies do, probably it varies a bit for other industries. But basically what happens is there is a input data, there is a task. The task can be, can you write a credit memo, can you write a company profiles, can you do a financial spreading, can you do kind of covenant monitoring, things like that. There is a defined task, and these tasks generally needs an input of documents. It's a data problem basically. So these data problem can be solved with a in-house data of client or some MDS or data vendors like a CapIQ or a Bloomberg or a Thomson Reuters, or it can be available in the global web. You search, you get certain sources and then you input that. But there is a pattern, so there is a task which is defined by the client, and then there is a input data which is also defined by client, but it can be dynamic in nature, not static. And then there is, kind of a tool, generative AI tool or any other traditional AI tool which kind of understands this, provides an output with an evidence. The evidence is basically checked by our analyst and corrected. So when an output is generated through traditional AI or the LLMs, basically three options exist. One is you use as is, or make an edit and then use it, or you completely opt out. If the evidence is not something useful, you think it is not going to help me, then you opt out. But it's needed because none of the AI's technology is 100% guaranteed, right? So it doesn't guarantee you in 100% consistent success rate, although eventually we may get there or we may never get there. It's a kind of a, discussion keeps happening in the industry. But at this point of time, I don't think any AI can confidently tell that you don't need to check it, everything will be all right. So we provide evidence, that evidence is reviewed, and obviously any of those three things analyst will do, and the output is generally the template which client will provide. We publish that and we send it. So this is the kind of a workflow, at least in the financial service sector we see, and this is where we are, kind of building our solutions. So whatever you have seen, agentic fleet, credit pulse, profile sub, or all of this follows this pattern. So how we do this, right? So we build a data layer. So when we say data layer, what happens is the source, as I said, like multiple sources, we just connected. So Alexandria is our internal data platform where we kind of do our own bot and extract something or work with vendors, populate this platform. But we also build a lot of integration with Capital IQ, S&P, we also built a lot of tools where you upload a PDF, it kind of extracts and generates certain insights. Same with Google search or Bing search, kind of a web search kind of thing. Understand Excel files and do. So that's how the extraction engine or the data layer basically works. On top of it, we have Beat Aura and certain custom extraction tools which basically from this data layer picks up the documents, makes it in a proper arranged way, and then make it AI ready. The data is kind of AI ready. So after that, the infra, so basically we use Bedrock, Anthropic models, OpenAI models. It's kind of, we don't stick with a single LLM at this point of time because everything is changing, very frequently. So we kind of build that layer in such a way that whatever solution works for us, we kind of use it. So on top of that, you see that we built, so what we call is as a agentic library or a prompt library. So the experts basically, when they get the desired results, they save it so that others can use it, rather than reinventing the wheel continuously. So that's how the AI app layer works. And then finally the solutions. So the credit pulse basically automates the credit memo creation. Same with Profile Hub, which automates the company profiles. You name any company, it generates a first draft of profiles with evidences, things like that. Then Acuity AI Assistant is our chatbot internally used by all Acuity employees. You can ask any question, you can upload a document and get a quick, kind of a summarization or insights on top of that. Output, which is like when the task is defined, they will also say what will be my output, which I want to see. That's kind of a publishing layer, which kind of supports that. Okay, so again, this is similar to that, but it's in a much more agentic way. So there is a, kind of a similar thing, but there is a planning agent, there is a critic agent, which kind of interacts, with the execution agents, and finally the output is kind of published. Okay, so that's about Acuity. I just wanted to quickly cover what we do so that you guys can understand. We are transforming at this point of time. We have been a pure people business a few years back, but we are now transforming to become a tech-enabled company which kind of drives client efficiency, and that journey is in progress as we speak. Okay, given we have kind of a people from different walks of life, I'll just quickly, try to explain where are we so far with LLMs, and when the LLM recently kind of released their OpenAI models were released by OpenAI, we kind of were the pioneers to start that work. We kind of hired a consultant and we started working immediately on that. It's been like a couple of years of journey, but it's been very good understanding journey for us while working on these technologies. But what we know so far is it's part of science and engineering. It's not simple engineering thing, that's we understood. That if you look at it, the growth of humans, right? So how it happens basically is a kid is born, certain skills are there, But as it grows, the brain grows, neuron improves, a lot more knowledgeable. But when he gets into school or introduced with society, he gets access to a lot of tools. Then he becomes more efficient, and then these tools can be integrated and they become super efficient, So he gets a pen, he will be a lot more efficient because he can use the skill, the tool as a pen and also the skill which he has in his brain and do certain things, innovation. So similarly, we believe that AI, especially the agentic, will also kind of come into play. So there is a small language model like BERT, which kind of did certain things, right? And then there is a large language, which is a little elder, kind of a guy who kind of does a lot more. But when you give access to tools and services, that becomes an agent. It's a simple service, right? But can do multiple things. Yeah. So given an example, right? You have I'm sure you would have all understand master service agreement, MSAs. When organization interact, they create that. So if you want to ask a question on MSA, it's a simple thing, right? You don't need agent because it is a straightforward. Input is there, output will come back. Suppose you have a master's agreement and then 10 SOWs. And these 10 SOWs have a lot of amendments also. And you want to know certain information. It's not a straightforward interaction, right? You have to do certain things. One, you have to extract all these documents. Then you have to figure out which SOW is linked to this question being asked and does it have any amendments. And then kind of create that relationship and publish the answer, right? That's where the tools will help. So you need an extraction engine. There is a engine which kind of, or an agent which kind of understand these documents. Then there is a interpretation thing and then the publishing thing, right? So 4 or 5 agents working and publishing. That's how we think that the evolution will happen, right? It will take some time, but eventually kind of evolve. The cost of LLMs basically is going to come down. The power consumption may increase. It will have its own implication on global warming. But overall, we see a trend where the cost of LLM is coming down. So when we initially OpenAI kind of launched it, they were charging X amount, but when you see now, it's a lot more cheaper. Although their research models are super costly, I don't think they want to commercialize that, so they kept it like crazy price. But all of their other models, including Anthropic, which through Bedrock, it's coming down. So literally, the incentive to have your own LLM is little reduced because they are so cheap that you end up using them rather than building on your own. But eventually, I'll come to small language model as we speak. There is a lot of focus on ethical use of AI. I think that's the area where a lot of organizations are exposing themselves. The reason is it's kind of a very powerful tool. Yeah, so a lot of guys were able to hit OpenAI and get understanding of how to create XYZ, which are not so needed, right? Antisocial things. So OpenAI has to come out with some kind of a guardrails to control that. But still people were doing, and then there are a lot of innovations are happening where people are controlling their prompts, stopping them from processing. But ethical use of AI is very important because sometimes models can be biased. Models can also be bit opinionated. Sometimes it can give hallucination answers also if you don't have a proper control in place. So that can create a lot of problems for the end customers if things are not visibly or obvious. For example, there was a case which AWS figured it out some time back where certain models in the Middle East were rejecting women loan seekers because it didn't had a lot of samples. Yeah. So similarly, something can go with certain races if there is no samples. So those things can happen, and therefore it is very important that we kind of do an R&D, we figure it out what we are doing, have a lot of evidences for the opinions you are generating, but make sure any project is driven by ethical use of AI. Yeah. As per McKinsey, what they believe is kind of marketing and sales, products and service development, customer service. These are the areas where there will be a lot of focus on AI and things like that. Mostly first draft of output for the analyst or employees to review, summarization, trend analysis, these kind of tasks will be the initial automation candidates. Even chatbot and commercial customer service. So as I was telling, right, so how the human evolution happened like that only, the LLM agents will also grow. And eventually it will have a better impact and the effectiveness. So what is LLM agent basically is it understands its environments, make decisions and take action. These are all logical and it can be kind of drive certain inputs from the users as we move forward. But this is how we are seeing as we kind of introduce LLM agents in Acuity and work with the clients. They want to make sure that it understands the environment, it kind of understands why certain things needs to be done dynamically and make those decisions. And basically, if some input is needed from XYZ sources, it waits for that and then take that and certainly push it to a next agent and things like that. LLM agents also uses multiple services, for problem solving, efficiency, productivity. It kind of uses, it's called tools calling. It kind of does it, and there are some protocols like MCP, which I will talk about it little later. But basically, it uses those services to kind of extend its capabilities. Again, multiple work is going on. Anthropic released MCP, which I will just high level discuss in my things, but there is something called ACP. Then Google has launched something for agent-to-agent interaction. So these kind of protocols basically standardize. Just to give an example, APIs, when they released, there was this RESTful API, and then WebSocket API. When they came, it doesn't matter. It's like your USB-C, kind of a wires, right? So you bring it from any vendor. As long as you can plug in Type-C, it will work. Similarly, these frameworks are guiding the future development of agentic, and it's very important. There is a possibility that too many vendors will come and there could be some kind of a confusion in the initial, but eventually I think things will settle down and these frameworks kind of helps us to drive. So this is how it works. So agents basically, you can call LLMs as brain of agents, right? But only brain will not solve any of those problems, right? So it needs certain additional support, right? So it could be a memory management, it could be calling certain tools, and enabling the context, how the context should be sent to. So this basically needs some kind of an awareness about environment, collaboration. It needs to do, kind of construction of things using the brain. Which is LLM basically. So this image basically talks about that. And then finally the protocols, right? So if you see 3 protocols currently, the industry is reviewing, it can extend. There could be a lot more others which may come in. But just to give a understanding, right? So MCP basically believes in providing context to LLM in a certain way. Context means you can understand like tokens are the input what we are giving, right? Because what will happen is you can call a lot of services, like you can call Bloomberg as a service, you can call CapIQ, you can call XYZ, you can have your own internal extraction engines which can provide, you can use Google search, but you need a kind of a framework to make sure that the LLMs constantly get the the context in the same fashion. You can also use different LLMs. Gemini may work on certain prompts in a way, whereas OpenAI may work in a different way. So this basically helps us to make sure that the context for the LLMs are sent in a way where it works. So ACP is basically an IBM product, came after MCP. Basically not as elaborative as MCP, but a lot of organizations which are internally focused, they don't have a lot of agents outside, they use this ACP. But A2A is something, kind of agent, you buy it from somewhere else and you have your own agent, they can interact, kind of framework. But eventually what will happen is a unified agent platform where A2A handles back and forth between agents, either internal or outside, and MCP manages access of different tools which we have developed and the data, and then ACP kind of drive edge and offline scenarios where kind of internally you have certain agents which are not which are very secure, you don't want to make sure. So those kind of edge and offline scenarios can be managed by ACP. But this is how the industry is investing money in the agent tech, and they are kind of experimenting it. So recent study by McKinsey again is like around 85 to 90% of the organizations are investing on AI. Currently the agentic market size as per them is around 5 billion, but the CAGR growth is around 45%. So by 2030, in all probability, it may be 40-50 billion industry, and so is the growth, because the organizations have already committed a lot of the CXO level discussion when they are investing big time in this. So the industry is going towards this arena, and there is a very high probability that this, unless like a IoT or a blockchain, which kind of slow down a bit because of the deployment issues, because you need a different infrastructure and things like that. LLMs, generative AI, people use synonymously, but it's not same. So they have same, there's no deployment challenges. So it's going to be using similar infrastructure, although the quantum of compute power needed is high, but the infrastructure is same. So there is a very high probability that this technology will not die down so soon. It's going to continue, but the quantum of adoption depends on the ethical use, and the regulators. But as far as when we interact with a lot of banks who are extremely cautious, right? They see a lot of interest. They're saying that let's work together on a couple of projects. Let's see how it works. Maybe kind of customer surveys or simple document extraction initially, but eventually we can go to a broader use cases. But we see a lot of interest in people. So we are expecting as Acuity, as an organization, will become a reliable partner for these financial service companies and banks and things like that. And that's the aim we are pursuing. But thanks a lot. I just wanted to cover these things. But if you have any questions, happy to answer that. But otherwise, thank you. Yeah.
Some suite of products, or is the stuff that you deploy at the client side?
Yeah. So let me explain this just a couple of minutes. The motive of we developing something is not to sell it to clients. Okay, make them, our guys, more efficient. But sometimes what happens is when our guys are using, and there is obviously a Chinese wall, right? We have to deploy it in client environment. It can't be in Acuity environment. So when we deploy, clients becomes interested, happy, and they say, why can't we get this? And we have sold it, multiple clients. So we kind of not proactively sell it, but a lot of clients come to us and say that, okay, our guys are using it, means Acuity employees, but you working for them, can we get access to this? And we have given them, and we actively, don't stop this kind of sales, but we do offer, yes.
Basically, it's normally an accelerator for your guys.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, Ramesh. Thank you for your presentation. You quoted the hallucinating thing, LLMs
Yeah.
agents. How do we solve that? Because even I have come across these.
Yeah. So it's a problem. I think 95% of the cases we have solved it, but still we can't 100% say that it's not there. The reason is, see, all these are attention-seeking models, and human in the loop is always there, right? So people can sometimes manipulate this. Assume that 40 lakh people put an information to the LLM, human in the loop, that XYZ is the truth. It will assume it is the truth. And for the next guy who is coming and asking same question, it will give that as a truth, because it is learning, So what we do, I haven't, in the interest of the time, I haven't put this, but there are different ways we can control this. One approach we can control is RAG approach, right? So we are not using the parametric or the LLM knowledge per se, but internally the organization knowledge base is used. So what happens is, you have certain data problem. The LLM knows about it, but we don't know whether it is true or false. Because I'm sure with those parameters, right? How brains have neurons, those parameters like enable them the knowledge. But we can kind of block that, and we say that internal organization documents which are truly tested and approved by the organization is fed into what we call as a embeddings and stored in a vector database. It's a numerical representation of the same data. It's stored in the vector database. And when a question is asked, it can be a task, it can be a question, we go here and figure out what are the relevant chunks or the piece of information relevant for this question. And only those will be sent to LLMs, which is a brain, and said that, look, don't use your parametric knowledge. We understand it's accurate, but we don't trust it. So use this information, answer the question. If you don't get it, say, I don't have the information. If you get it, you respond. When it responds, we give the evidence that this page number, this place, the information exists, and we highlight it. So an analyst who is working on it, on the left side he sees the output, on the right side he sees the source, and he can make a decision, right? Again, having said that, sometimes it can still happen, but very rarely. I think 95 to 99% we have controlled it. Yeah. Thank you.